the steps and what I'm going to share with you today helps everybody, no matter what type of blood sugar kind of situation that you're trying to manage. Something that was that I learned. This was again a client that came and she said to me, if it wasn't for social media, she says, this is the only reason I know what perimenopause is. Until a year ago, I had no idea what my body was going through at age 51. Now I no longer feel alone because of this community and because it's getting talked about, and I'm feeling a lot more hopeful. So this was a client, again, she just started working with me, and we are diving through exactly what I'm going to share with you today. And, you know, I'm going to preface this with, I have never been more passionate really about anything in my life. I've been passionate about a lot of things, definitely, getting married, having my daughter, and all those amazing miracles and situations that come our way. But this has really solidified why I'm here as a coach and as a woman living with diabetes, and my truly turning my pain into a purpose. So when I went through these hormonal changes, and I've talked a lot about this on the show, perimenopause specifically, I knew this was my reason to be here. And this is the reason this show is here. This is the purpose behind what I do, what I share. And if you're on my email list, you get a newsletter from me every Tuesday morning. If you're not, definitely check out some of my free resources here so that you can subscribe and get into the loop and hear from me every week. Because I love creating materials. I love creating guides and help, things that you can refer to and lean on, trusted things that you can count on to use to walk this walk, living with diabetes through all these hormonal stages. And I know that's my purpose, and I'm so thrilled to be able to continue to do this and to be here on this show to deliver this information. So the first thing I want to say, and if, again, you've heard me talk about my story, and many of the guests here talk about their story, doctors will not ask you this question, okay? Don't expect your endocrinologist, or any sort of practitioner that you're going to, or even your OBGYN. These are many stories that we're hearing. Again, I've told my story about this. They will not bring this up. They don't put all these pieces to our health together. So don't expect to be asked. Don't expect them to inquire on maybe some changes that might be happening with your A1C. Your time in a range is getting a little erratic. Maybe you're putting on the weight, the cholesterol is going up, all the symptoms are starting to show themselves. Well, very few doctors are going to put this together and to say, hey, guess what might be happening to you? Your hormones are changing. And this is the first stage of perimenopause. And it can come at any age. It really can. Late 30s, beginning in the 40s, definitely by the time you're in your early 40s is when what I'm going to talk about today are starting to kind of rear their ugly head. They're really becoming more obvious. So one of the number one things that I want to share today is once you hear what I have to say and to learn about what I'm going to share is to advocate. Don't dismiss how you feel. If you're going to a doctor, they're dismissing. They are telling you you're crazy, you just need more insulin, you need an antidepressant, here's a statin because your cholesterol is going up. But don't even get me going on that whole topic, because there is a pill and a medication for all these symptoms we're going to talk about. But when we can just simply point to the fact that, yes, your hormones will be dropping as you age, and yes, it's going to be dramatically noticed with alongside managing blood sugar. I promise you. So just know that, and know that there is help in your corner and there are steps your way. So 5 key signs. So these are 5 things to think about right about now. Right about now. So put this in your toolbox And definitely consider these 5 signs that you're in perimenopause. So the number one thing is irregular cycles. And this could be an obvious thing too. Now, I have women that come to me as well, and it depends on what type of, sorry for the dog barking in the background, the mailman must have just arrived. But whether you're on, let's say you're on birth control, you're on some sort of form of, ways to prevent pregnancy, obviously, because obviously in your 40s, that's still, you're still ovulating, there's still a chance of becoming pregnant. And those are it's definitely a side note that is important in this discussion. But just to back up to irregular cycles, meaning, your 28-day normal cycle is, they're shorter, they're heavier, unpredictable, they're lasting longer, maybe they're they're shorter. In some cases, they can even be, like you got a week where you're spotting, and then 2 weeks go by and then a full period comes. So any change in that cycle, or even skipping months. So you go a whole month, maybe you go a whole 2 months without skipping a cycle, or you go a couple months without having a cycle. Those are all obvious things to pay attention to. And, there's some amazing trackers that you can, apps that you can get tied in with. And I know a lot of these will sync up with your CGM as well. Those are some great things. I know the Oura Ring is a really cool tool that a lot of people are using. So those are some things to kind of refer to. Okay, so number one was the key sign was skipping cycles, or that erratic, irregular monthly cycle. Number 2 is disrupted sleep. Okay. Waking up frequently. And then when you're starting to wake up because of night sweats, frequent urination, we lose some of that ability. Our bladder control can get weaker as hormones are dropping. Estrogen is a big part of this whole equation, because estrogen is dropping. That is the whole point of perimenopause in this stage. So that lack of estrogen does kind of tie into our interrupted sleep and bladder control, which is what's waking you up. Difficulty falling back to sleep or staying asleep. Again, sleep is, I swear, erratic cycles and sleep. Those are the 2 things I'm hearing from every woman that I'm meeting. Those are the 2 most obvious. And these are things because obviously sleep impacts, it's something we feel. I mean, if you're like me, I'm kind of a sleep snob. Don't mess with my sleep. It's one thing. There's a lot of things that you can disturb, but I want my nightly sleep, and I'm not going to compromise on that. So when it happens, boy, do we feel it. And those around us feel it as well, right? So the second key sign is changes in your sleep. Number 3, mood swings and anxiety. So this can definitely, it depends on your personality, your energy, who you are anyway, just your natural spirit and energy. But any change in that, if you're more easily aggravated, if you're up and down with mood swings, anxiety, feeling a little nervous, feeling more pretentious when it comes to, say, things at work or things you got to do for the family, anything that adds undue stress on you that never used to stress you that much. So paying attention to those shifts in your emotions, and, it's that unpredictable intense. You can even get a little snippy, which is another word. I remember those days as well, when things just tick you off a little more than they ever had. So again, number 1 was irregular cycles to look out for. Number 2 was poor sleep, disrupted sleep. Number 3 was mood swings and feeling anxious. Number 4. Now, those of us with type 1 diabetes, we're looking at our CGM, we're testing our blood sugar. Increased insulin resistance. So in other words, suddenly what you've always done, and this is something I hear a lot, I used to say it to myself, I used to do all these things that always used to check the box, get me to where I was with my blood sugar according to eating and in exercise and all the things, and now suddenly it's not working. So you are experiencing higher blood sugars that make no sense at all. You need more insulin. Maybe your basal rate is starting to increase, and you're noticing whether it's your pump settings or if you're on daily injections and you need more basal once a day or twice a day, however you might be splitting your dose. Especially, and this really notes itself, and I notice this as well, in your luteal phase. So there are many cycles of your monthly cycle, and the luteal phase is the last 2 weeks of your cycle. So it's right after ovulation up until you menstruate, which is the first day of your cycle. So it's generally days 14 to 28. Again, then you ask, okay, well, my cycles are irregular. How do I know what day I'm on? Well, this is what I think it's really key to keep track of your cycle. Whether, again, maybe it's on paper and pencil, maybe it's an app, maybe it's a, some sort of an electronic tracker that you're doing, but keeping track and noticing the tiebacks to what timing of the cycle and how it's kind of correlating with your resistance or your sensitivity to insulin. So just paying attention, being more aware of those connections. I think what's really important, and this is what we talk about in our group coaching circle, all the ladies that pop in there. I do monthly meetings and we have guest speakers once a month. If you want any more information, just check out the show notes right here and you can learn more. But this is really coming out as far as just understanding what's different and being aware of that. And that is what we're learning as we continue to learn, and having some kind of that validation around that, because it's real easy to think, well, it's this reason, or maybe we have a doctor telling us it's this reason. We're pointing it to other areas of our life that might be causing this. But trust me, when we are in perimenopause, we will feel a difference.